Hello and welcome to the second part in my US series. If you saw my last video, or can read, then you'll know this one is about my time in Salt Lake City. As you can see, the views on the drive from Vegas were pretty stunning. Plenty of snow-topped mountains and the odd gorge here and there. After about 4 hours into our drive, we stopped off here at Meadow Hot Springs. Once off the main road, it's a few kilometers down a dirt track, and believe me, it is not fun. I was the one driving on the way down, and I was worried about the underside of the hire car. There were some pretty big potholes, if you can still class them as potholes on a dirt road. Dunno. There were 3 separate pools, although the first one didn't really seem suitable, so we headed to the second one. There you can see Bill with his rug out. He's such a hairy man, look at him. As Goldilocks would say, the temperature was just right. Not too hot and not too cold. Perfect to chill in and take in the stunning scenery around us. We couldn't stay too long, however, as we were on a tight schedule. We needed to make it to Salt Lake in time to not only check into our hotel, but also have dinner and then make it in time to the big game. I won't show you the hotel because it was a bit of a dive. And also because I didn't get any footage of it, because I was preoccupied by the fact it was a bit of a dive. For dinner, we'd had Crown Burgers recommended to us. A burger chain local to Utah known for their Pastrami Burger. That's all I needed to know, no menu necessary. The one we went to was unsurprisingly nearby the arena, and because of this, it was absolutely rammed. The queue was out of the door when we arrived, but to be fair, it did move pretty fast. The actual burger was good, but I feel a little bit overhyped. The pastrami flavour just really wasn't coming through as much as I'd hoped. Burger smashed down, it was game time. Specifically, the Utah Jazz against the Golden State Warriors. This was my first live basketball game, and it's something that I'd wanted to tick off for quite a long time. I'm not a huge fan of American sports, but I don't know, something about the live games just have a draw for me. On the flip side, I will say, for me personally, there's a bit too much pomp and ceremony. I wish they'd just get on with it, Get to the action! Oh look, it's Bill. For the most part, it was a pretty entertaining game, although I spent the first 2.5 quarters wondering what the fuss about Steph Curry was. And then, third quarter, he turned it on and started banging in 3-pointers, and I was like, oh okay, yeah, I get it now. After the game, we checked out a few local craft breweries. While not exactly on the cheap side, the bars and the beers were pretty good. We did end up having a few more than anticipated, hence the lack of footage for this part. The next morning, we checked out the Utah State Capitol building, overlooking downtown Salt Lake. As you can see, as with pretty much kind of anywhere in the Salt Lake area, the views are just incredible. Speaking of incredible views, this next part was my favourite bit of our time in Salt Lake. This was Antelope Island. Funnily enough, however, there didn't appear to actually be any antelope there. Apparently, it gets its name from 2 American Army officers from the 1800s. They were the first non-natives to visit the island, and as the story goes, they shot and killed an antelope, which is where the name for the island comes from. As you can see, plenty of bison around though. It was funny speaking to locals later in the day, telling them that we'd been here. We'd tell them with excitement and they'd just be like, oh yeah, it's okay I guess. I suppose when you've lived there all your life and it's on your doorstep, you might take it for granted. Seeing the bison roam around with the backdrop of the snow-covered mountains was just sensational. A friend of mine and Bill's actually went to Salt Lake not long after we did and visited Antelope Island on our recommendation. He agreed with us rather than the locals. We'd barely eaten all day, apart from some snacks from Walmart, and as it was Shrove Tuesday, we headed to a cafe for pancakes. A cafe that for some reason had random Star Wars pictures on the wall. Hey, I'm a fan, I'm not knocking it. I went for a blueberry stack. Good lord, you can see they were absolutely huge. Even with the lack of food earlier in the day, it was a struggle to finish them, but they were very tasty. We didn't need dinner after those pancakes, but a few more beers were in order. This place was called the Beer Hive, a play on the fact that Utah is the beehive state. Not because of lots of bees, but because bees represent perseverance and industry, so the beehive logo was chosen to represent the hard-working nature of the people. That metal strip that my beer is sitting on, that was iced to keep your beer cool, which is cool. There was still time for a couple of games of pool before we headed back to the hotel. I think it ended at 1-1. Wait for it. Wait for it. Ah, you suck! And that was it, the second leg of this American trip over and done with. In the next video, you'll see me exploring some national parks, so if that sounds interesting, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.